first episode of the We're All Aliens Alien Nation podcast, I sat down with Lynne Hampson, a legend of the Manchester and Northwest rock and metal scene and promoter of the SOS Festival, one of the leading festivals for new music in the rock and metal community in Europe. I'm here with Lynne from the SOS Festival. Lynne, before we get on to talk about SOS and all that sort of stuff, what I like to do, particularly when we're doing podcasty stuff, is, and particularly as the podcast is a celebration of everybody who supported rock and metal scene, underground, overground, wombling free, right? We like to take it all the way back, right? So, how did you get started in all of this madness?
SOS wise or music wise?
No, I'm Lynne wise.
Oh, music wise, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, like everybody at school, I suppose, we all grew up with rock and metal. My favourite band at school was Thin Lizzy, I suppose, and Led Zeppelin. And I was fortunate enough to actually see Lizzy in the 70s. Showing my age a bit now.
No, I think that's it. No, it's interesting, because we were talking about this the other day. It's like we find that a lot of people, when we're talking rock and metal,
yes, yeah,
it's like, was it you or was it an older sibling?
No, it was me.
So it was you.
Yeah,
okay.
My brother's 10 years older, and he was into the Stylistics and Diana Ross.
Oh, he was a soul boy.
Oh yeah, he loved it, all that sort of thing. Shirley Bassey he adored.
Oh right, high-waisted baggies and all that sort of stuff. Nice one. So you saw Lizzy. Where did you see Lizzy?
It was at the racetrack in what's it called?
Like the Speedway track.
That racetrack in Manchester. It was
Bellevue.
Bellevue. It was there.
Bellevue,
yeah.
Bellevue, right.
No, it wasn't open air. They don't do gigs there. It was inside. Yeah. But it was Scott Gorham was playing, and it was really, really good.
Snowy White.
I had to get 2 buses to get there.
So where were you travelling from? Salford, right. So this would be about 78, 79, so that
Yes, yeah, that sort of time. Yeah, 2 buses to get there. There was a crowd of us from school went, and we were hooked really. And then it was every week at the Apollo we used to go to,
which is now the O2 Apollo.
Yes, yeah. Every week we used to go to the Apollo to see somebody or other. Sabbath, Maiden, Saxon, Rush. We saw several times. We had to queue up for tickets for Rush round the corner.
Yeah.
Because there was no online sales then. You had to go and get them physically.
So this is the new album. This is the new album era, isn't it? Really, new wave of British heavy metal in a way.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah. But we used to see everybody there for about £2.
Yeah.
In those days, But
So like Bon Scott era or Brian Johnson era.
Bon Scott I saw. Yeah. Judas Priest were there.
Wow.
Everybody that you could think of, really.
What a grounding!
I know. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Because we'll talk about the current scene a little bit later, but that was a scene, wasn't it? It was a real scene.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. And I used to work in a paper shop after school, and I used to read Sounds at the paper shop,
which was the guitar band of the 3 of them, Sounds, Melody Maker and Enemy. Sounds one that supported the hard rock bands. Yeah.
Yes, so I used to read Sounds, so I didn't have to buy it. I used to read it cover to cover in the paper shop. And you used to find out who was coming round, then, and then it was word of mouth, who's coming, who's going. And we used to go to Bingley Hall to see The Who. Got on a bus once and we went to, Wembley to see Queen, and we used to do all sorts of mad things. But this was a group of us school. Yeah. Our mums and dads didn't know where we were. We just used to take off.
Give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second. So, like, when you say there was a crew of you, like,
Yeah, a group of us, yeah, girls and boys. We all used to hang out together.
I think that's a really important part of anybody's kind of coming of age when we're talking about music. It's that kind of supportive thing, isn't it? I mean, I know from my own experience, like my first forays into rock music were definitely inspired by my brother, because your older brother is always cool, and he had records he went to see. For us, where I lived, it was the Deeside Leisure Centre, because I lived in a place on the
Right,
on the North Wales border.
Yes.
But they were really big patrons of rock and metal, and of course the North Wales scene was really hot, as it still is to this day.
Yeah.
But he saw them all. I was much too, well, I say much too young. I was certainly too young in those days, but I knew all those records because I heard them. But so that's kind of school leaver age. What happened then?
What happened then? Then we got into Reading Festival sort of things after school. So Reading Festival, and you had the likes of Maiden and other people, Ozzy playing at Reading.
Did you see the legendary Slade gig?
Yeah, I saw lots of gigs there. I had to borrow a tent though. Couldn't afford a tent. I had to borrow a tent off the local scouts. Luckily, the scout leader lived opposite where I lived, and he lent me a tent so I could go to Reading.
Amazing. And in terms of like the something happened with Reading, didn't it? That kind of changed the movement a little bit. It stopped being a rock festival, and it became something else for a while, and lost its way a little bit, probably until the time when Nirvana sort of headlined and really sorted back. Were you still going then?
No, I wasn't. Leeds and Reading, they've gone more indie, haven't they?
Yeah.
Sort of like indie sort of bands, which is great for the youngsters. I mean, I live quite near Heaton Park, and it's park life this weekend.
Yeah.
And all the school leavers and what have you are all going to park life. I know. Yeah. All the kids around here, but it's great for them. It's they're out in the open watching a load of music, which I think's brilliant.
So what changed for you when you decided, actually, I'm no longer going to be a fan, I'm going to get involved? When did that take place? When did this sort of like transition from being just a real lover of the scene to someone who wanted to start doing your own thing?
Well, it was my husband, really. He started his own record label in 2009, I think it was.
Yeah.
Rock Sector Records, and he's always been interested in music. In fact, we met outside the Apollo queuing up for Rush tickets when we were 18. So he decided in 2009 he'd had enough of his job, 9 to 5, boring as hell job, and he decided to start this record label and music management, which went really, really well. And then I wanted to do a gig of some sort, and our local council building said, you can use this, lovely big hall, big stage, Radcliffe Civic it was, absolutely stunning place.
And they let you do it?
They let us put a one-day event on. That was 16 years ago now. We didn't do SOS for COVID reasons, for a couple of years. So 16 years ago we started SOS, and it was just a one-day event, an eclectic group of bands. So we had rock, metal, acoustic. We had Heaven's Basement headline the first one, and they just supported Bon Jovi at the at Main Road It's not Main Road anymore, is it?
Well, it's
Where
not there anymore, is it? It's
No,
the Etihad's up the road.
the
From Main
Etihad.
Road now.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
that would have been Main Road, yeah.
Yeah, they just supported Bon Jovi at the Etihad, so they were up and coming, emerging, bursting on the scene, and they said they would, perform this event for us, and it was absolutely brilliant. It was a great success, and then more and more bands wanted to play.
Yeah.
So the year after, we said, okay, we'll do 2 days. So the 1-day event turned into 2, and then the 2-day event the year after turned into 3, and then more and more bands heard about it. We're in the unsigned guide now as one of the the best festivals to play for the underground bands, and this year we've had over 2,000 applicants actually apply. There's just so many great people out there, performers. I mean, and I can't even play a pair of spoons, I can't. I just admire women that get up there. I admire anyone that can get on a stage, because if I get on a stage, I freeze. And I can't perform. I can't speak. I can't look at anyone. I don't know how they do it.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because your profile on the scene being so important. I mean, UK-wide, but obviously essentially as well as such an important part of the ecology of the North and the Northwest scene. It's really fascinating for me to hear you say that you've got no kind of actual musical background, because I think one of the things that tends to happen, I mean, here I am talking to you for a radio show because I do some presenting, podcast. I'm a frontman in a band. I'm just connected to the scene because I'm an enthusiast, but enthusiasts come from lots of different places.
Yeah.
But you're not just a promoter, though, are you?
What do you mean?
Well, you do. I mean, you're also like actively, sort of doing the PR side of things.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do the PR for a couple of bands and merchandise. I go on tour with bands. I've been all over Europe, helping bands with merchandise. Myself and my other half, we manage Blaze Bailey as well, and Absolver. Both my sons are in bands. They've toured, pretty much everywhere there is to tour. They've been all over the world, which is really fortunate for them. So we are busy, but we enjoy what we do.
I was going to say, but SOS, like any festival, these things are scalable, but there's the scalability of them tends to come with more support, more problems.
Yeah,
you are a small team who puts this thing on.
Oh yeah, we are a small team. Yeah.
So in terms of like the cycle from we come up to 2023, SOS Festival. When does the prep start for 1 year? So
for next year.
Yeah. So when you did, so you did 22. When did you start putting together 23? Does it happen the day after?
Next year's already started. We've already started thinking about next year.
For 24.
Yeah, we've already, had a conversation. There's 3 or 4 of us decide the lineup. So who we want, and we basically keep it the same. We have a really strong headliner, and then we have up and coming bands that fill the undercard. So we've already started approaching headliners, and I've had dozens of people dozens of bands who already know that festivals start booking before the other festivals finish.
Of course.
So we've already had dozens of bands apply. So they're on a list. We do listen to everyone as well. We go on Spotify and listen to them, and we have a look what they're doing on social media and have a look at their website.
So is that important for you? that sort of thing? The social media side, the numbers, and all of that kind of thing.
Not necessarily. We used to run an event in Manchester every week, and we used to see bands constantly every week. We used to put a show on at Grand Central every week,
Mm-hmm.
and we used to see dozens and dozens and dozens of bands. So we used to really pick out good bands every week. Oh, they're good, they would do for SOS. They're good, they would do. But now we don't. We try and go to as many shows and festivals as we can. We went to Call of the Wild a few weeks ago in Lincoln, and had a look at the lineup and some of the bands there. So we do try and spot them live, and if we can't get to a show, we try and send one of our scouts, whether it's a press person or it's one of the crew. We try and send someone to have a look what the band's like live. Because it's important. We had a band apply last year from Newcastle, and this band was sent to me by another bigger festival. They said they're not big enough for our festival yet, but they're a really good band. Could you have a look at them and perhaps put them on at your festival? So I said, okay, let's have a look. Anyway, the next show was somewhere in the northeast. I said, there's no way I can get there. But I sent a photographer friend who I trusted. I said, can you go and have a look at this band and let me know what you think? Anyway, he came back to me and he said, wow, they're great. They're absolutely fantastic. You really want to book them for next year. So I did. I booked them. And since I've booked them, Primordial Radio have got them on as number one at the moment. Wow. on their listings.
Amazing.
And we went to Primordial in Wolverhampton a few months ago, and they performed, and they were brilliant. They were really good. So they're up and coming, and they're going to open one of the days for us.
Yeah.
SOS, the Crowley they're called.
I know Crowley.
And they're.
We were having a conversation on the show the other night about whether we pronounce it Crowley or Crowley, actually. And we'd spotted them sort of late last year because my band We're All Aliens were ended up on a Spotify playlist with them, and I thought they were great. I think the Women in Rock thing's quite interesting around that as well. Because I know the drummer's Matthew, but I think the rest of the band are all female.
They were great. I mean, they're new, so they need a bit of bedding in yet. Yeah. They just need more. They need to gig more. That's all. They've got some good songs. So we're excited for them to play this year. So we do. If we like the sound of someone, and if someone recommends them, of course, we send somebody out to see them. If we can't get to a show ourselves.
Yeah.
We tend to stay away from death metal.
The extreme side of things.
The extreme. In the past we have had it on, but it doesn't go down that well.
No.
So if any death metal comes our way, I do know a promoter in Manchester. I send them to them. Yeah. To get them a show in Manchester. Yeah. But we try and help as many bands out as we can, really, and
And in the 16 years that you've been doing it, who in your opinion have been your big success stories, either artistically or just exposure wise?
There's lots.
Who've come through you and then have really kind of done stuff?
Yeah, there's absolutely loads actually. Recently we've had well, of course, Evan's Basement went massive and toured the whole of USA and Europe, of course. Massive Wagons have done massive things. That they've played for us a couple of times. Evil Scarecrow, they went massive as well. Don't know if you've heard of them. They are more of a metal band. They do massive shows at Bloodstock and big festivals.
And in terms of ones to watch,
Absolver, of course, that's my son's band. They play all over Europe as well.
yeah.
They have played for us a couple of times. Ones to watch out for. Who've we got on this year? Let me see. Meta Prison are good. They're really good. Fury have played for us a few times. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Becky Baldwin, she's just done a massive tour with Merciful Fate in USA.
Mm-hmm.
They're a big metal band.
So, like, advice to bands who want to get on the bill.
Yeah.
What are your do's and what are your don'ts? What are the things that you're looking for? I mean, obviously, you need to. Everybody's got an opinion. You need to have a gut about a band in terms of, like, you need to broadly speaking, like their music. Obviously, you're curating something, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? And the lineup year on year kind of reflects the general scene that's happening. And you know, you try and pitch genres together so that you've got enough of one type and then another type.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, a band saying, I want to get on the SOS Festival for 2024, what are you looking for? What do you want? Let's talk them through the process. What do you want from an application, firstly?
An application, okay. Well, a good video would be good if you can see someone on a good video.
Live or promo?
Either, really. So long as they're playing well on it and not out of tune.
Yeah.
My husband's a guitarist, so if they're out of tune or out of beat or whatever, he'll go, no.
And that happens?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does.
So you do have to sift through a bit of dross in that sense?
We actually look at everyone, and it takes weeks to go through everyone. Weeks. Sure. You know, and
okay, so there's the first thing, a video. So they
video,
need to have some form of video. What then are you looking for?
I don't know, really. Just some good songs.
Good songs. What about? We talked a little bit about social profile. Are numbers important to you?
No.
Not at all.
No, we booked Crowley when they had about 200 likes on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, I played a band on our first Mighty Rock takeover last week, who've got 8 followers on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, 8 followers, and actually, I was almost more attracted to them because they had 8 followers, because everybody wants to find a band that no one's heard of. Do you know what I mean?
Of course they do. Yes.
Particularly if you really like them. You know, and I really like this band. They're a band called Broken Down Highway, and they're from New Jersey in America, and they're a 3-piece. And they're a little bit Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, but they're a little bit funky, a little bit sort of garagey. But what was also cool as well is the lead singer and guitar player is they're a father and son combo, and the drummer, I think, is the father's brother. So it's 2 brothers and 1 son. So it's like multi-generational, but they look really authentic. So obviously you can sort of see a story, and their videos, they play their videos out of they put rehearsal videos up literally out of their garage. I mean,
that's good.
It's going to break my heart if I find out, like C6 Steve, that there's a suggestion that actually he was a session man from the 1970s. Do you know what I mean? You know, but I quite like that when I'm curating playlists and stuff like that. The numbers actually, there was one band who just recently played Whiskey A Go Go in the Viper Rooms. They're from LA, and I won't mention the name, but I really love what they're doing. They've got the female fronted band, and they've really their socials have really grown. But then I sort of discovered behind the scenes that actually there's major label support behind them, and they weren't interested in engaging with us and you know, in our Mighty Rock Show and Radio Northwich. You know what I mean? and they didn't even come back to us. So in terms of like the conversation that you end up having with your artists, how does that work? How does that work?
Well, some people contact me on Facebook, you
Yeah.
know, and I don't mind chatting to them if they want, you know, some advice or whatever. Or,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of bands invite us to shows as well, you know, if they're playing in Manchester. And we do try and go. We went to see the Hot 1-2 at
They're on this year's
Rebellion.
festival, aren't they? 2023.
Yeah, Rebellion. And they were brilliant. So much energy.
I like that band, actually. I like them.
Really good. A lot of energy. And I introduced the artist that we use. He's a kid at university, really fabulous artist. He's going to do massive things.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he's picked up some work from them as well, so that's good.
Yeah.
You know, so we always encourage young journalists, young photographers, young graphic designers. You know, it's what they need to do.
Absolutely,
you know?
no, 100%. So,
you know, they don't.
So in terms of like the bands, the socials are important. A video is important. Obviously, they need to be able to play. And are you trying to catch them at the early stage of their career? When do you know that they've already gone beyond in terms of
gone beyond us?
Yeah, gone beyond. Well, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm sure. If massive, you know that if you had massive wagons on your topping your bill, you'd probably.
We couldn't afford massive wagons.
That's what I'm saying. You couldn't afford it right now because they've gone beyond. So when do you know that they're beyond you? That's my point, really.
Yeah. When do we know they've gone beyond? When they stop applying, I suppose.
Oh, really? Okay, right. It's as simple as that, really. So,
yeah. And when they go with top agents, you know.
Right. So in terms of like, percentage-wise, are you saying that most of the bands that are coming to you now are still non-agent represented?
Yeah.
And they're self-managing and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And do you find that as a consequence of their association with SOS, that they then get picked up by booking agents and management and things like that?
Times, but I think a lot of bands that have played SOS then go on to play other festivals.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few other bigger festivals than ours. You know, Bloodstock, Call of the Wild, Download. Quite a lot of the bands do go on to play bigger festivals after they've played ours.
Yeah.
So.
And
you know, it is like a stepping stone for them. That's why we did it, really, because
that's why I think it's a really important part of the ecology because it is.
Oh, I've lost you now. Hang on. Where are you?
You can hear me now. Hold on.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Oh, I don't know why. Well, you can hear me though, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's one of the one of the important things about the ecology, isn't it? That ultimately they always, you know, that there has to be a sort of a forward trajectory for them, and where you sit in that is that stepping stone. And I want to talk a little bit about the sort of economic environment that we currently find ourselves in. The cost of living is high, and promoters like yourselves have a huge element of risk in terms of it. I see a lot of promoters saying now that they're finding it really, really difficult, certainly grassroots promoters, because people post-COVID are still reticent about coming out, and all that sort of stuff. They're not booking in advance and all those sort of things. What's your view on that?
I think from not an SOS point of view, but from other shows that we've been to, a lot of people want to know it's going ahead.
Yeah.
So, especially with the Blaze and Absolver shows, we find a lot of people walk up on the night, pay on the door, And they don't, like you say, they don't buy in advance. But with SOS, we always do an early bird.
Right.
So we do an early bird for a couple of months, and usually we get, a good number of people that have been before. They'll buy the early bird. They don't care who's on because they know we picked some, a decent lineup,
Yeah.
and it's great to find new bands. So the early bird goes on sale straight away on the day of on the Sunday. The early bird will be on sale. It's actually an early B. We have an early B because we have a B, for SOS.
Yeah. And it's a Manchester thing as well, of course.
And it's a Manchester thing, yes.
Yeah.
So it's the early B. And I think because we've been around 15 years, it's like anything that's been around a long time. People know it's not going to get cancelled.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have to postpone it because of COVID, of course. But, and if it does get cancelled, everybody would get refunded. We did offer that choice in COVID because everybody was skint. If they wanted a refund, we would have given it.
Yeah.
And a handful of people wanted a refund, not many.
And over the course of the weekend, outside of the bands, what's the team? What's the makeup of the team look like? How big's the team?
Well, we have the stage crew, of course.
Yeah.
Sound engineers, Mark and myself. We have someone on the door. It's not a big team. The venue has the bar covered, so the venue covers the bar and the catering.
Yeah.
And the press area, that's usually just manned by one of the others. Will just do tea and coffee for the press area. That's it. Yeah. So it's not a massive team, but it's a regular team, I should say.
Yeah. It's like a big family in that sense.
Yeah, it's a regular team. We had a team meeting the other night, but it's just same as normal, really.
And at what point do you know that? Because obviously these things are a rolling thing. It's never about the 1 year. It's about the year that's going, and then the year after that, and the year behind. Like we've seen so many festivals, haven't we? Like end up saying that they can't make it happen this year because it isn't washing its face. That's a big issue for the scene. I mean, have you got any advice for those promoters?
Really start small.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of festivals crashed and burned this year, but I think they were trying to do a Bloodstock. Too much, yeah. But Bloodstock started in a hall, with 500 people.
Yeah.
And we don't want to get any bigger.
I was going to say, what would you? We
do not want to get any bigger. I've been asked to take this to other cities and other countries, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's too much hassle. It's too much hassle for one day. I don't want to take it to several countries or several cities.
And is it how much of your year does it take up? Or is it a proportion of it all the time, or is it a little bit throughout the year?
Yeah, it's a little bit throughout the year. Sort of, daily you've got to check your socials, of course.
Yeah.
And keep the band's sort of momentum going and things, tweeting and Instagram and Facebook, and we have a massive database for newsletters as well. People in the past have joined the newsletter, so we have a mailing list that goes out. It's just I would start small. If I was doing a new festival, I'd just start small with one day.
Yeah. Well, Lynne, I want one last question.
Okay.
Difficult question. I love putting my guests on the spot like this. If you had to pick one band, right? Yeah. And it's not an SOS band, it's yours, Lynne.
Yeah.
Right. Which is the one band that means the most?
Led Zeppelin.
Right. Did you ever see them?
Yes, seen Zepp, yeah.
Where?
Oh, crikey, when was it? I can't remember. Nebworth it was.
Right.
Nebworth. But yeah, Led Zeppelin, love them. Absolutely adore Robert Plant, Jimmy Page. Yeah, superb.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're my favourite go-to CD.
Your happy rock and roll place.
My happy, yeah, yeah. Although I do listen to all sorts of music, actually. In fact, I've got in the car at the moment, I've got a Melda May on.
Well, do you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because again, we're a rock band, but and we would be classified as a rock band, but we are interested in a range of styles and influences.
Yeah.
And you know, my favorite band is the Beatles. You know, they're my
Yes.
first, my last,
Yeah.
my everything. You know, and Paul McCartney is my absolute hero.
Yeah.
I have this conversation. We played Helter Skelter on the show last week because
Yeah.
we had Ned Hassan from Metal on Merseyside on, and he's written a book on the Merseyside.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're from that neck of the woods, and I sort of argue that Helter Skelter sort of kicks it all off in terms of British metal, even though a Liverpool band, though they didn't write that song in you know, in that era. They didn't write it on Merseyside. They wrote it in London.
Yeah.
But I always find that Prince is a big hero of mine.
Yes.
And not just Prince's rockier stuff. I love it when Prince rocks out.
No.
You know, but you know, and I also like, you know, I grew up in the '80s, so I love bands like Duran Duran and things like that, who I always argue are a rock band. Do you know what I mean? You know, yeah, no, I think it's really amazing when I love putting people on the spot, and then they give me their gut reaction. And
Led Zeppelin is my favourite. Although at the moment I'm championing a guy from Ireland called Don Martin. He's a fantastic blues player.
Yeah.
And we went to see him supporting Eric Gales.
Right.
And he blew Eric Gales off the stage. And he's doing marvellous. And he reminds me of Rory Gallagher. He is absolutely brilliant. And he's playing the most small little blues clubs that I've never even heard of some of these blues clubs. Like the Blue Funk Club in Poynton, I've got tickets for.
Amazing.
I know. I didn't even know Poynton had a blues club.
Well, I think that's one of the interesting things. I mean, we do this Biff and JJ Rock Up because I'm the lead singer and the guitar player in the band. We break away and do our own thing, and you know, it's our band really. But when we do those gigs, the Rock Up gigs, it's literally just a plug in and play thing, and we play anywhere. We are not. We don't mind where it is. We played in church halls. We played at you know, anywhere that wants to hear our thing, and we always put a couple of originals in if the vibe is correct, because I always think that songs and bands become like your friends, you know, and songs in particular, I think, are like old friends, like the ones that you really some you fall out of love with and you don't want to listen to them anymore because they reflect a certain thing in your life or a moment in time. And then there's the other ones which you keep coming back to and have that, and you're very you care about them, you nurture them, you go, oh, I haven't heard that song for a long time, and it makes you feel that way. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's one of the reasons why we do what we do.
I know.
Lynne, that's great. So excited about this year's festival, and so excited for the bands and the things that you do for those bands. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.